If you could get a DNA from anyone in the past, who would it be? Michelangelo, Jesus, Cleopatra, Alexander the Great, Gerard Butler from 300? Chase Miyake here with the Blue Futon reviewing The Devil Conspiracy. So what's this movie about? It's a pretty simple premise, actually. There is this organization that does take the DNA from Michelangelo, Beethoven, Mozart, and they put it in these babies so when they grow up, they're going to have that prestigeness of having the, Beethoven talent, the Mozart talent, the Michelangelo talent. And when they find Jesus Christ's DNA, they're going to try to do the Antichrist. But Lucifer and Michael the Archangel might have to battle it out to see if it is actually Jesus coming back to Earth or Antichrist. So, did I like this film? I thought it was a pretty okay film for the budget they had and what they were trying to do. I will say one thing. The story is actually something original. When they brought in the story of the DNA aspect of bringing in Michelangelo, Mozart, Beethoven, I was like, this is ingenious. That is actually a smart, plot point to put in this movie. And I'm thinking now, in future movies, why don't they do this? Because that'd be so fun to do of oh my gosh, are we bringing back these people from the past? And are they going to, it's almost like you could say Bill and Ted, but with babies coming back. So yes, that story element I thought was pretty cool. And I do think adding the monsters and this gore at the end, it did have a little mix of Silent Hill versus Ghost Ship style of killing, and that was pretty fun. However, with this movie, I do think some of the budget was a little okay for CGI, as well as some of the acting a little bit wooden. So going into the positives, like I said, I'll keep saying it again, I think the story is pretty original and pretty unique for what they're trying to do with, bringing Michael back, Lucifer, Jesus, Antichrist, this organization. There is some roots to this organization. I think adding that was really, really good. And I do think some of the acting with the characters were good, especially the main character, Laura. I believe that's her name. And I do wish, though, that we had a little bit more backstory with her. We do know that something did happen in the past with her husband and her child. And it was just kind of added to the story. But I think if they put a little bit more depth into it with maybe adding, maybe Michael knew about it or Lucifer and, adding some things to it, it would be more unique. And there were some, I would call it quote unquote plot twists with Lucifer being in his Laura's body as well as the child and, having the yin and yang of good versus evil in her body and what she wants to do. I do think if they went a different route of making Laura turn evil with Lucifer's mental, capacity of making her want to do this stuff, it could be a completely bonkers and different movie. But of course, they went the safe route of, what they're trying to do. So I do think the best part is the story and the atmosphere of what they're trying to do. Unfortunately, I do think this older lady, her acting is very wooden. Some of the CGI elements just felt a little cheap. Some of the makeup actually was pretty good, but also just felt a little bit awkward. There were some side characters, especially when they're in hell with these forgotten souls, that were just kind of thrown in there. Like I said, a lot of stuff is a lot of stuff just thrown in the background where you're like, they should add a little bit more depth to that, add depth to that, add depth to that. But they were focused on more of this Jesus Antichrist type of story and element, which again, it is a good premise, but writing all the details with all the characters just didn't mesh as well as I wanted it to. But overall, The Devil Conspiracy is a unique, different, fun premise of a movie. It probably is only going to be in theaters for the first week, and I can see it disappearing. I think it's only in about 900 screens, and even at that, it is showing only at 1 or 2 times. So seeing it might be a little bit hard. But if you want something unique, different, and almost supernatural element-esque to it, I would recommend The Devil Conspiracy. The Devil Conspiracy will receive a 3 out of 5 with Futons, which equals at 60%. Let's see what the critics' user scores gave this one. So you have critics a 27% with 15 of them, audience score 44% fewer than 50, no critic consensus. I mean, I'm not going to complain about it. I mean, someone says the nuttiest film. Is it a good movie? No, by any means. But is it fun? Yes. And I think that's a good part. It is a fun movie where you're like, okay, could they have had more action set pieces? Sure. But there's a one at the very end where you're like, yeah, that's pretty cool. But like I said, I understand the hate for it, but I do think it's something original and unique, which we need to open our eyes to for sure. So 60, 44, 27. Chase Sock with the Blue Futon. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what things moved on Topia. You Blue Futonians, take watch, have a great day. And seriously, I mean, maybe I think Cleopatra to see if she was actually gorgeous or not. Because you had that weird thing of like, oh, her bone structure, might not be as pretty, but then everything else is like, gorgeous.